Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. This is Brenda Rogers from Quintessence Women's Health, and I have with me Holly Davis. Holly is a whole food chef with a couple of books to her name. First of all, Nourish, beautiful name, by the way, and secondly, Ferment. And Holly and I are teaming up to deliver you a fantastic nutrition, food evening and webinar coming up on the 5th of May. So welcome, Holly.
Thank you very much, Brenda. Thanks for having me.
And we were just having a little discussion about, because both of us are passionate about food. I'm a women's health coach, holistic nutritionist, and various other things. And so food is my passion as well. So we're just having a brief chat about sort of the history of food. You know, we've had this few decades where we've moved into fast foods, faster prepare foods, not just takeaway foods, but even in the kitchen. Everything's supposed to be quick and easy, and at the cost.
And it meals.
Yeah, at the cost sometimes of the nutritional value of food. And we're not taking away that we do need to make food easy to prepare. But Holly, could I ask you to just briefly introduce yourself, give us a bit of background, and then I'd like to ask you a question about tradition, I suppose.
Yeah, so I describe myself as foodie first. So my interest in food and whole foods is in eating really delicious food, like having the most delicious food possible. That's a primary interest of mine. And I got interested in whole foods very early in life and was very much on the outer. So I recognize I have a very high need for difference. You know, when you look at the values that you hold, I have a very high need for difference. And so I have been through most of my life being exceedingly different. I've been the person who has been espousing eating traditional foods and eating fermented foods with each meal, and how you eat, you know, talking back to people about how they chew food and the difference that it makes to chew your food really well, and kind of things like that. So I've always been a bit of a weirdo until fairly recently, when the world has recognized the benefit of understanding our microbiome. And when I first started teaching fermentation classes, nobody knew what that was. So that's amazing, isn't it? Probably in about sort of 2008 or something, I started doing dedicated fermentation classes, and I was spending a lot of the class talking to people about their digestion and how their digestion worked, and that they had resident microbes and that there were a lot of them. And it is amazing how that is now not a conversation that's needed. People know what fermented food is, mostly, and they know why it's of benefit, which is kind of incredible. So I feel like the world's caught up. And so my second book is about fermentation. And I think there's enormous value in understanding how to ferment your own food. So of course, people have leapt onto the bandwagon. You can get kombucha in every corner store these days, but not all of those are actually, dare I say, real. They're not
Alive.
Thoroughly naturally fermented and alive and raw, which are the things that you want to look for. Yeah.
Well, I've got a neighbour who's mowing their lawn at the moment, so it's the joys of home offices. So, you know, this I guess is there a trend back to this old-fashioned kind of way of preparing? You know, there's even with this virus that's this pandemic that's occurring at the moment, a lot of us are reaching out to, you know, going to the hardware stores or the gardening stores and buying up vegetables and planting vegetables, and there's There's a, people looking for sourdough starter to make their own breads, and it's fantastic. It's a beautiful thing. Can you comment a little bit on that current?
I sell my book and my latest book, and dried cultures for a beautiful heirloom yogurt culture, and a Swedish culture for cream, and sourdough. I have a rice and a rye sourdough starter. And I generally might have 3 or 4 orders a week for those. And at the moment, I'm getting 15 and 20 orders a week. So people are really keen for the information, I think. And I'm selling a lot of books at the moment. Personally, I'm sold in bookshops, but I'm also selling online. And there is definitely, I'm doing Zoom conversations with people who are making bread for the first time and saying, no, need like this, not like that, and which is beautiful. There is something so fantastic about seeing people excited about making their own foods and seeing those foods come to life. I got hooked at the age of 14 or something watching food ferment, and it's never let me go. I'm 62 just, and I'm just as excited now. Like yesterday I had a text message from a friend's niece who was she was sending me a photograph of her first loaf of bread, and she got the recipe from ferment and she followed it. She was thrilled, and I was just as thrilled now as I was when I made my first in 1986. So it's kind of amazing. It's a lovely thing to do. It's very connecting. You know, what we need right now is connection to our pasts, I think, to what was good and right about the past, and connection with each other. And there's nothing like food. Like, I know people sharing food over Zoom. Like we make share food, I think.
Well, I'm absolutely fascinated, and I love your passion about it. But I'm going to stop us there, because we want to invite you all to come along to our collaborative event on the 5th of May, where we're going to go into more detail and even have some practical demonstrations to show you how to do these things yourself. So look below for a link to that event, or if you don't see it around, then pop on over to Eventbrite and search for Holly Davis, and you will find the tickets, and buy some tickets and buy some for your family as well. Well, actually, it's probably one Zoom per household, so we might get families, whole families watching in. So that's going to be great. It's a very family-oriented thing to learn about, I think. So thank you so much, Holly.
Pleasure.
And thank you, everyone, for listening in. We look forward to seeing you on the 5th of May for even more adventures in food and cooking and nutrition and all of that stuff that goes with it. Thank you so much.
Bye.